The U.S. Capitol is probably the most recognized symbol of democratic government in the world, and today it was breached in the midst of some truly historic proceedings. Let's bring in SMU political science professor Cal Jillson to help us break it all down. Professor, I am seeing that Congress had only certified Alabama and Alaska before the violence broke out. Do they simply pick up as if none of this happened, with Senator Cruz challenging the results in Arizona?
Well, I think Senator Cruz has a decision to make, given what's happened today, whether he wants to continue with what is obviously a futile and symbolic effort. So the electoral votes are taken from the states in alphabetical order. So we only got through two of them. Arizona was the first to be challenged. And now the Capitol has been cleared and Congress can begin its work again. I'll be fascinated to watch whether they move relatively quickly or go through a series of challenges, because I think the challenges are really have been discredited by the events of the day.
Yeah, I think a lot of lawmakers will be making some very serious political calculations in the next couple hours. I did see that Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley tweeted that the staff was able to remove the electoral ballots before that mob breached the floor. You know, some critics have called this everything from political grandstanding to a publicity stunt. Ultimately, what would the Republicans' objection to this election yield?
Well, the Republicans have objections that are rhetorical. They're claims that are unsubstantiated and without facts being followed. So we've had 60 courts hear Republican complaints about the election in various states and say, we hear what you're saying, now show us the evidence that this has happened. And they haven't been able to do that. Those cases have been rejected. The Attorney General has said, the Republican Attorney General has said that he doesn't see evidence of substantial corruption. And so today was going to be just another sort of rhetorical grandstanding support for President Trump by people like Ted Cruz, who are trying to position themselves as Trump's next generation. And so I'll be interested to see what happens. But this is going to end, I think, tonight. And Joe Biden is going to be inaugurated on January 20th. And the question is, at that point, what's going to be left to the Republican Party? Because the party was divided going into today between McConnell, the leader of the Republicans in the Senate, who wanted things to proceed smoothly, Cruz and others who wanted to make their complaints. And now you've got a lot of Americans looking at their Capitol having been breached and saying, this is not what I signed up for. So if we were to have another election before long, if Republicans think they had trouble in the suburbs in 2020, it would be magnified going forward, because this makes people very nervous that the U.S. government is that of a banana republic, almost completely dysfunctional.
And you know, to that point, Professor, do you think there is a calculation going on right now as Republicans look at the results coming out of Georgia, in which, a stunning result in which, Democrats have already flipped one Senate seat and look very likely to flip both of those seats to the Democratic side, just a historic shift so very quickly. Are Republicans looking at that and sort of doing some political calculations about how this is playing to voters?
Yeah, some of them are, but some of them going into today, including Ted Cruz, were not. So I think it's right to look at Georgia, a very narrow loss in the presidency, and then Donald Trump coming in, campaigning late in the game, but spending most of his time talking about his complaints about his election, rather than trying to pull those two Republican senators over the line. Both of them now, I think both races have been called, have lost, and the Democrats will organize the Senate. So this is a big deal, because Democrats now will hold the White House and both houses of Congress, although very narrowly. And you have to put that at Trump's doorstep. And I think many Republicans both voters and elected officials will do exactly that overnight.
Yeah, I saw some Republican leaders saying, in 4 years we went from talking about the jobs and the economy to, these conspiracy theories and challenging the election results. When do you think we will get a final certification of these results?
Well, I think we'll get it tonight. I think that the certification is supposed to be done on the 6th by law. And now that the Capitol has been cleared and members are able to refocus, I'll be fascinated to see whether they complete it tonight and complete it relatively quickly. And if they don't, I think there'll be a lot of concern in the country. President Trump thinks the concern is about the fact that the election was stolen from him. I think the concern will be whether our government works at all anymore and how Biden and his team will be able to put things back together.
All right, SMU political science professor Cal Jillson, we thank you for providing a little bit of context to all that we've seen throughout this afternoon and what we may continue to see throughout the evening. Thank you.